Hello everybody, it's Chris. We are on our way to Buck's Motorsports for a Spyder service, and there's lots to discuss. If you're new to the channel, I'm going to kind of go back to the beginning of the issues facing the Spyder. For some of you, it's going to be redundant. And also, if you're new to the channel, if you're into Spyder content, if you would hit that subscribe button, I sure would appreciate it, as well as that notification bell. I don't like to ask people to like my videos until they've actually watched the video, but I would appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button. So about 4,000+ miles ago, we're now at 18,000 miles, so we're headed for our second 9,300 mile service, and I'll talk a little bit about service intervals as well. But just over 4,000 miles ago, I left my home in Niagara Falls, New York, headed on a 3-week, 3,000+ mile adventure to, well, the southernmost destination was going to be Key West, Florida, and then back again. And when I was coming home from that, I was in rural north central Florida, in a town called Hawthorne, Florida. A rock must have punctured one of my two radiators, the left front radiator, and I had to leave the Spyder at a dealership in Jacksonville, Florida, fly home to Niagara Falls, and then fly back a few days later. I couldn't stay there with the Spyder for the few days. I couldn't extend my vacation in Jacksonville because I had to fly home for a meeting that I needed to attend. It's a long story. But anyway, I fly back to Jacksonville a few days later, pick up the Spyder. I drive to Providence, Rhode Island over a series of 3 days to visit family for the Easter holiday. No issues with the Spyder whatsoever. The repair was done very well. I can't say enough about, well, either my dealer, who we're headed to now, Buck's Motorsports, or Ride Now Power Sports in Jacksonville, Florida. They did a good repair. No issues whatsoever. I was in Rhode Island for about a week. I ride home to Niagara Falls. No issues whatsoever. I stopped multiple times for gas and whatnot on the way back. It's a 460 mile trip from Providence to Niagara Falls. No issues whatsoever. I pull into my garage. I shut down, turn the key off. The fans come on and they won't shut off. After, you know, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so of different research and experimenting and whatnot, I pull a relay from the fuse box and the fans shut off. Now, some of you have asked me, hey, what is a relay and where are they? You know, if you're new to the Spyder world. So I thought, and by the way, I didn't know what a relay was. I thought a relay was a race. You know, one guy passes a baton to the next. I didn't know they were these little circuitry electronic things. But anyway, the Spyder has some relays in the fuse box. In fact, I did a quick video on that, kind of showing you inside the frunk and where the relays and the fuses are located, and I'll insert that right here. So this is the frunk, and it is absolutely huge. I've demonstrated this with other videos, but it goes way down, and I mean, it's pretty wide even down at the bottom. I've got this set up right now, being able to easily take the relay out, leave it down at the bottom of the frunk, and then put it in when I was going to go on a ride where I think I needed the fans, until this recently resolved itself. But many of you asked me about this, to do this, so here we go. So this is the frunk. This is a zip out part of the, like a panel that allows you access to the battery, which is right here. These easily screw out. The tools provided in the Can-Am provided toolkit. This comes off, the battery's back there. And this is one of two fuse boxes. The other is right here. It has the cover on it. Now the fuse cover, which I'm leaving off until the new fuse is put in, is right here. You can see on the cover, as well as on the owner's manual page, it shows you which fuse and which relay goes where. But these are the fuses, these pretty little color-coded things here, and the relays are these black things, and they are a killer to pull out. There's a special tool, a plier, that makes it much easier to do it. I don't have it, I'm not going to buy it, but that's actually, it's the right fuse box when you're sitting on the Spyder. This is the owner's manual, and again, there's a page in the owner's manual that gives you the diagrams of the fuses, and these are just some spare fuses that are not used. I'm suspecting there's also one of those, not one of those, but a few of those in this fuse box as well. Hopefully the dealer will get this figured out shortly. So anyway, at that point I should say, to ride the Spyder, I either would ride it for a short distance. If I'm going to the grocery store a couple of miles away, then I'd ride it without fans. And this was, you know, in April, and this is now, I'm shooting this in early to mid-May. So it's not, you know, it's 55 degrees right now according to the Spyder, so it's probably 50. So it's not like it's hot weather. Or if I was going like I am today on a 40-mile trip to my dealer, what I would have to do is start the Spyder, put in the relay, the fans kick on and they won't shut off, and then ride the Spyder to my destination. And before I shut down the ignition, I'd pull the relay out, the Spyder fans would go off, and then I'd shut down because I don't want the fans to wear down the battery. So I come to my dealer a week ago, and they do a little experimenting. They pull a relay from a showroom model Spyder, put it in where my relay was, and it caused everything to work. It caused the fans to shut down and come on when they should. So they ordered me a relay, and I'm heading here today for the second 9,300 mile service, then putting in the new relay with an asterisk, and I'll explain that, as well as I've got a suspension fault. Now, it's not come up yet, but on the first day of my Florida trip, I'm not far from home, and I get a suspension fault. I've never had a suspension fault, and sure enough, it comes up on my first day of my, you know, my long trip. It kind of freaked me out, but a suspension fault, I guess, is not a big deal. I rode for 4,000 miles with a suspension fault and no issues whatsoever, other than I get this alert on my dashboard telling me, hey, you've got a suspension fault. So I leave the dealership a week ago. I go home, and I don't know, a day or two later, the fan issue resolves itself. The fans will come on if I let it idle too long, and they'll shut off when they need to shut off. Now, when I was here last week, I had them replace my Haiju, H-A-I-J-I-U Chinese battery with a Drag Specialties battery. If you've been watching the channel, you know this, but I needed a battery anyway. My battery had 70% life left in it, and some of you advised me to get it replaced before I went on the Florida trip. I didn't get it replaced, and I will tell you, you know, up until last week, it was working. But that low battery may have caused some electrical issues. It may have caused the suspension fault, but the suspension fault's been coming on even since they replaced the new battery. But the new battery may have resolved the fan issue. It didn't immediately resolve it, but maybe, I don't know, things need to reset. I have no idea. I'm not a mechanically inclined guy. I'm not an electrician. I'm just a normal guy who bought a Spyder and loves it and goes on adventures with it. And that's what this channel is all about. So, I'm going to Bucks Motorsports today to have the second 9,300 mile service, and I'll report to you how that goes, how much it costs, any issues that they discover. I'm going to leave it to the dealer whether they install the new relay or not. I don't need the relay. The fans are working. In fact, I'm going to let when I pull up to the dealership, I've had a number of stop lights that I've stopped at this morning that I was hoping the fans would come on, but they didn't, because it's not that hot out today. It's 50 degrees. But I'm going to let it idle at the dealership so you can hear the fans come on, and then we'll shut down, and I'm assuming, I know you should never assume, so I presume that the fans will go off based on recent history. And hopefully they can figure out the fault code. I say hopefully because it's not a deal killer if they say, well, you got to bring it back for some part or something, because I can still go on adventures. And I'm planning a real cool trip, a short trip, a few hundred miles each way, a couple of nights in a hotel room, but it'll make for some awesome YouTube videos. Cool motorcycle road riding. So we're pulling up to Bucks now, and again, after the service, I'll let you know how it went, how much it cost. I keep forgetting there's not 2 entrances to Bucks Motorsports. There's only one. It's funny, this is the service drop-off, but it says no parking. I guess they don't want people parking there who aren't dropping off for service. So what I'm going to do is just let it idle until the fans come on. Come on, fans. We're counting on you, fans. You can see the temperature gauge. It never goes beyond the halfway point. The only time it ever did, and I've pushed the Spyder, the only time it ever did was when I had the radiator fail. And when it did, a red light comes up, high temperature warning here, at the bottom of the dash. An amber flash came on here that said high engine temp. And of course, this went to the 3/4 point and then eventually to the full point. When you want the fans to come on, it's like watching the water boil. It takes forever. When you don't want them to come on because of the high noise level, they come on often. I should have timed it when I pulled in. I can look on the video, but so it's 9:12 now. This is unbelievable. So part of me, because I'm so paranoid about the fans and the cooling and the temperature gauge and whatnot, part of me wonders, this guy probably thinks I'm talking about, here they go. Here they go. I was gonna say, part of me wonders, is there a sensor issue and the fans aren't coming on when they should come on? But you can hear the fans, and now I'm gonna shut down, and the fans go off. Isn't that beautiful? So I'm gonna run inside and we'll pick it up when I've got more to report. Okay, we are off. This went a lot faster than what I thought. I got here at just past 9. It's almost noon. So I'll update you on everything. I will insert a brief video on the explanation of the invoice here, right now. Okay, so I'm going to walk through this really quickly because you can read it without me walking through it. But basically you can see that they've got some warranty work in terms of a new relay that they put in. I talk about that a little bit. That was warranty work. The battery they installed last week, and you can see it's a drag specialty battery. They charged me $140 for the battery with $65 for labor. I'd love to know what you think of that. And then warranty work just in terms of diagnosing the fault codes. The fault code issue did not come up on the way to or on the way back from Bucks Motorsports, and it's about a 40 mile drive. You can see this is they say 19,000 mile service. It's an 18,000 mile service, and my vehicle only has 18,000 miles, but you can see what they do there. They charged me, in terms of the oil change and the parts and the washers and whatnot, $142. With labor, it was a total of $350. So the total amount was $554. You can see there's some shop supplies that they included there and tax there for a total of $622. So as I said before, when you buy a Spyder, you know you're buying an expensive piece of equipment, and it's expensive to fuel, it's expensive to service, but you kind of know that going into it. I'd love to know, for those of you who have opinions on, you know, how that price compares to what you've paid for batteries for the second 9,300 mile service, etc. I'd love to know. They put the new relay in. They kept the old relay, which I thought I might keep because it was working, as I mentioned. But they said because of the warranty, BRP might want that relay back for who knows what reason. So that's fine. They mentioned that they checked on the fault codes, and they said they couldn't find the fault code for the suspension fault. They found something related to the steering mechanism. I think that's an old fault code that never was an issue. So they think the fault code may have been resolved with the battery. Now, I will tell you, I know it's popped up since the battery was put on, but I will also tell you that the fan situation did not resolve itself immediately after the new battery was put on. So maybe the new battery had to take some cycles of starting and stopping and whatnot before it resolved some of these issues. I don't know. If I get a fault code, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if I get a fault code again, it's not a big deal in that I can still, the suspension fault at least, I can still ride the thing, and I will, a couple of swans, I will just call them and come back down, but I'm hoping that might be resolved. No issues in terms of the regular 9,300 mile service. Everything was as it should be. I will tell you this, a lot of you have commented on these various videos I've been posting, I want to go right here, about Spyder reliability, and you're thinking of getting one, but you're concerned about these issues that people have. I will tell you that I love my Spyder, despite the little gremlins. I would not hesitate to plan another long distance trip, and I am doing that. And hopefully I'm going to do it soon, maybe as early as this coming week, depending on weather. But I know some people have issues with their Spyders that are different than mine. I will tell you, my Spyder has always started when I wanted it to start, always. Even when I had a battery that was only at 70% of its life, and many of you said, no, get a new battery, I had that battery and used it for thousands of miles, long way from home, started up every time, no trickle charger, for like a month without a trickle charger, no issues whatsoever. So the Spyder's been very reliable for me, despite the gremlins. But, so there's a new Spyder channel, I think it's Mitch on Wheels, or Mitch the Spyder, or I forgot the exact name. I will put it at the bottom of the video right here, his name. But it's a new Spyder owner who's got a new channel. I love it. It's a great channel. And he's got some issues with his Sea to Sky that involve oil leaks and things that he had to take it to his dealer, and they had it for like a month or maybe longer than that. That would be a deal killer for me, because again, this is my only vehicle. So I'm fortunate that all of my issues have involved me taking it to the dealer, waiting a couple of hours for them to fix it. With the exception of the radiator that happened in Florida. And that was an issue, one, that could have happened to any vehicle. That's not a Spyder or Can-Am or a BRP issue. You could puncture a radiator with a rock on any vehicle. Although, as I said, I think in my last video, Can-Am needs to beef up the protection of those grills if they're going to continue to leave them in those low-slung, open, environments. But, and the only reason I had to leave it and fly back from Florida to Niagara Falls is because I had a meeting to attend. And so that's kind of a personal thing. If it wasn't for that, if I had the ability, I could have just said, okay, I'm going to extend my vacation for 2 or 3 days. They would have ordered the radiator, would have come in. The job didn't take long at all to complete once the radiator came in. So I guess what I'm saying is, my Spyder has been very reliable. The issues that have come up have not been trip killers, have not been, deals where I was stranded. Never. I've never had to leave this at the dealer overnight. So I love my Spyder. I love my Spyder dealer. Some of you have kind of, I think, try to compare them to like Sean Smokes, and I watch Sean's channel. You know, look, these are complex machines, and when you're working at one of those dealerships, you're dealing with lots of complex machines, and I just can't expect I cannot expect every tech at every dealership to be, you know, like a healer, like a Spyder whisperer, where they can lay their hand on the Spyder and just sense what's wrong, and it's just, that's not the level of expectation that I have. I mentioned this before, but if you think about New York, when you think about New York, if you think about the Empire State Building and tall buildings and whatnot, this is New York. Welcome to New York. Beautiful country. I do want to also talk about service intervals, because I was very confused by them until Spyder Wayne, who's got another great Spyder channel, helped clarify it with comments in one of my previous videos. And so basically, when you buy a Spyder, there's a break-in period that I think it's 600 miles when you should ride it a certain way in terms of speed and braking and cornering and all the rest of it. Just like most motorcycles, it's 600 miles. Unlike most motorcycles that say, okay, then there's a 600-mile service, the Spyder service for break-in is at 3,000 miles. At least that's the factory recommendation. Then the next service is at 9,300 miles. Not 9,300 miles after the 3,000, but at 9,300 miles. And I had that done, I think I had mine done at 10,000 miles. And then the next service is done at, the next 9,300 mile service is done at right about 18,000 miles, which is what I have. So there was some confusion, at least on my part. Maybe all of you, you know, totally understood it from the beginning, but I didn't. But I'm a little slow on some of these things. So if you have any comments on the prices I paid for what was done, on any of the issues we discussed at all, please put them in the comments. Your comments are very helpful to me and to others. So many people comment on my videos about comments that were made, and I just find that dialogue, that discourse, very helpful. It's a beautiful church. If you like this video, please hit that like button. If you don't subscribe to the channel, and I think it's about 60% of the watch hours on my videos are from people who do not subscribe. So if you're one of those folks, if you would subscribe, I sure would appreciate it. Until the next video, you have a great day. Bye-bye.